Now to the Sean Combs sex trafficking trial. Enters a fourth week of testimony as we hear from Suge Knight, Combs' rap rival whose name has come up often at the trial. Dan Abrams is standing by. We're going to talk to him after Chief Investigative Correspondent Aaron Katersky gives us this report from the courthouse. Good morning, Aaron.
And good morning to you, George. Long before federal prosecutors put Sean Combs on trial here, his chief hip-hop competitor told us that Combs was known in the industry for some of the very conduct that could now put him in prison.
Can't nobody hold me down. Oh, no.
This morning, as a fourth week of testimony begins in the Sean Combs trial in New York, his West Coast rival and Death Row Records founder Suge Knight is speaking out from behind bars in California, telling ABC News Combs' sexual appetites were an open secret beginning in the 1990s.
Everybody knew that Puffy didn't just pop in the industry and say, hey, I want to have sex with everybody.
The rivalry between Combs and Knight, notoriously marked by the shooting deaths of Biggie Smalls and Knight's artist Tupac Shakur, has come up at trial. Capricorn Clark became Combs' assistant after working for Knight and testified that on her first day, Combs took her to Central Park. He told me he didn't know that I had anything to do with Suge Knight, and if anything happened, he would have to kill me.
A lot of people might say, well, Capricorn could have did anything else she wanted to do. She did try. If you go get a job at Universal and probably make a phone call, you're not getting that job. If you go get a job at a talent agency or in the movie business and probably make that call, your career is over.
Knight has come up during trial at least 50 times. Another former assistant, David James, testified he once spotted Knight at Mel's Diner in Los Angeles and was then forced to accompany Combs, who he said was armed, to confront him.
If there's anything suggesting that I was doing anything illegal, I'm going to say definitely not.
Knight, who spoke to us from a California prison where he's serving time for a fatal hit and run, expressed some sympathy for Combs.
I don't feel that they should take Puffy and lock him up and throw away the key. I think he can do so much good right now. Him telling the truth about the industry.
And despite their long-standing rivalry, Suge Knight told us he does not hate Sean Combs. Now, a new week of testimony begins here this morning with Combs' former assistant testifying under the pseudonym Mia, back on the witness stand and under cross-examination. Guys?
Okay, Aaron, let's bring in Dan Abrams for more on this. Suge Knight, important witness for prosecutors.
Look, Suge Knight is basically saying at this point, from behind bars, you have to understand there's more context here. He's not the only one who was doing things like that. He's sort of walking a very fine line, suggesting that he should testify, right? Diddy's not going to testify in this case, and I don't know that I would take legal advice from Suge Knight from behind bars right now. But, you know, it is interesting when you look at the context more culturally of the hip-hop world to listen to Suge Knight. I think it's less significant with regard to the actual trial.
Well, how successful have prosecutors been in proving racketeering and sex trafficking?
More successful than I thought they were going to be. I mean, when we talked about this early in the case, I was talking about how hard the RICO, the racketeering part, was going to be. But you're seeing now witness after witness come forward talking about his employees assisting in this, right? Now you have the enterprise. The enterprise is the people who work for him doing the things he's telling them to do. And then you have potential crime after crime after crime that's being alleged, which is everything from kidnapping and arson to extortion, et cetera. And you were asking me a moment ago, Michael, but, you know, wait a sec. Have they necessarily proved each and every one of these? And that's going to be the question, right? That's going to be the question that has to be addressed is there enough proof to say that there was an arson, for example? It wasn't proved in court. Has it in another case, meaning, so has it been proved here?
And who else does the prosecution then need to put on the stand to prove all of this?
Well, so they have another victim, another critical victim who's going to come forward, an ex-girlfriend of his who's going to testify. And I think, again, you're going to see the same kind of defense that we've seen in each one of these, which is, again and again, it's you came back, you didn't complain at the time, and why would you write all these positive things about him in the meantime? So you're going to see similar defenses throughout with regard to these witnesses.
All right, Dan Abrams, thank you as always, my friend. Appreciate you.